The first word anyone had ever heard from the little girl shattered the silence of the entire marina. Not mom. Not help. Not even a cry. She pointed across the crowded dock toward a weathered man unloading fishing supplies and whispered, almost too softly to believe, "Guardian." Her mother froze. Victoria Hale, one of the youngest self-made billionaires in America, felt every conversation around her disappear beneath the roar of the ocean. Her daughter hadn't spoken in 4 years. Doctors called it selective mutism brought on by trauma after the yacht accident that had taken Victoria's husband. Specialists had tried everything. Therapy, medication, private schools. Silence remained the little girl's only language. Yet now, standing among tourists and fishermen, 8-year-old Emma had spoken to a stranger. The man looked up, confused, as if he hadn't realized she was looking at him. He simply nodded once, then returned to lifting another heavy crate. That somehow made the moment even stranger. 3 weeks earlier, Daniel Brooks had accepted a quiet maintenance job at Harbor Point Marina after retiring from the Navy. Former SEAL, single father, widower. His 12-year-old son, Noah, insisted the sea sounded kinder than the city. Daniel wasn't looking for adventure anymore. He repaired docks, cleaned boats, fixed engines, and spent evenings helping Noah with homework inside their tiny rented cottage overlooking the water. Most people never guessed he'd spent 2 decades in places no one would ever read about. He preferred it that way. The only battles he fought now involved rusty bolts and broken generators. Victoria couldn't stop thinking about Emma's single word, guardian. The next afternoon, she returned to the marina under the excuse of inspecting a nearby investment property. Truthfully, she wanted answers. Daniel was replacing warped wooden planks along an old pier. Emma quietly walked away from her security team before anyone noticed. She stopped beside him. He didn't speak. Instead, he handed her a small paintbrush. Without hesitation, she knelt beside him and carefully brushed fresh sealant between the boards. For 20 peaceful minutes, neither of them said a word. When Victoria finally reached them, ready to apologize, Daniel smiled politely. She's helping. That was all. No questions. No curiosity about who they were. No attempt to impress a billionaire. Emma looked calmer than Victoria had seen in years. Curiosity became routine. Every Friday, Emma asked, with gestures, to visit the marina. Daniel never treated her like someone fragile. If she wanted to stack rope, she stacked rope. If she wanted to watch gulls, they watched gulls. Sometimes Noah joined them. The children never pressured each other to talk. They communicated through sketches, seashell collections, and silent games of balancing stones. Victoria watched from a distance. It confused her. Every expensive therapist had tried to unlock Emma's voice. Daniel had never even tried. One rainy afternoon, another surprise arrived. Daniel collapsed while lifting a damaged boat motor. Victoria rushed forward with workers. "It's my shoulder," he admitted through clenched teeth. An old combat injury. He insisted he was fine, but Noah quietly revealed the truth. His father had skipped physical therapy for months because insurance covered almost nothing after retirement. Victoria immediately offered to pay. Daniel refused. "I've accepted help before," he said gently. It came with expectations. The sentence lingered in the rain long after they drove away. That evening, Victoria found herself staring at old photographs. Her husband had also hated accepting favors. Not because he was proud, because he'd once been betrayed by someone who expected loyalty in return. She suddenly realized she'd spent years trying to solve Emma's silence with money. Money could buy treatment. It couldn't buy trust. Daniel had unknowingly given Emma something priceless: space. Weeks later, Harbor Point prepared for its annual community festival. Families crowded the docks. Children painted wooden sailboats. Musicians filled the air with old folk songs. Emma disappeared again. Security panicked. Victoria's heartbeat exploded. They searched everywhere. Finally, she spotted Emma standing alone at the far end of the breakwater. Dark storm clouds rolled over the sea. A frightened toddler wandered dangerously close to the slippery rocks. Before anyone else reacted, Daniel was already running. Years of military instinct returned without hesitation. He reached the child just as a powerful wave crashed over the stones. Both disappeared beneath white water. Gasps echoed across the harbor. Seconds felt endless. Then Daniel emerged carrying the crying toddler high above the surf. His injured shoulder barely functioned. Still, he refused to let go until both reached safety. The crowd erupted in applause. Daniel ignored it. He simply wrapped the child in his own jacket. Emma stepped toward him. Her small hands trembled. Everyone instinctively fell silent. She looked directly into Daniel's exhausted eyes. "My daddy," she whispered. "Save people too." Victoria covered her mouth. Tears came before she even realized she was crying. Emma hadn't only spoken again. She'd revealed the memory she'd buried for 4 years. Her father hadn't abandoned her. He'd died saving others during the accident. No therapist had ever uncovered that hidden piece of grief. Daniel hadn't healed her with words. He'd reminded her what courage looked like. Life slowly changed after that day. Not dramatically. Real healing never does. Emma didn't suddenly become talkative. Some days she still remained completely silent. Other days she managed short sentences. Each one felt like sunrise after a long winter. Daniel continued repairing docks. Victoria never forced gifts upon him. Instead, she quietly arranged something different. The marina launched a veterans apprenticeship program, hiring retired service members who struggled finding civilian work. Daniel wasn't placed in charge. He helped design it alongside other veterans. His experience mattered. So did theirs. For the first time since leaving the Navy, he felt useful in an entirely new way. Months later, Noah entered a local photography contest. His winning picture wasn't of boats, or sunsets, or the ocean. It showed Emma and Daniel sitting silently on the end of the pier. Neither faced the camera. Neither spoke. Between them rested 2 unfinished birdhouses they were building together. The contest judges titled it, "The Language That Doesn't Need Words." When Victoria saw the framed photograph, she understood something every specialist had missed. Silence isn't always emptiness. Sometimes, silence is waiting for someone safe enough to hear it. She walked outside and found Daniel repairing another weather-beaten railing. "I never thanked you," she said quietly. He tightened one last bolt before answering. "You already did." She looked confused. He nodded toward Emma and Noah laughing together near the water. "She smiles now." Nothing more needed saying. The sea carried away the rest. Because the greatest acts of healing rarely begin with perfect words. They begin with quiet kindness, offered without expecting anything in return. And sometimes, the person who helps another find their voice never realizes they were the reason silence finally ended.